Hey everyone, today we finally get to start talking about solving systems. And the first way that we're going to solve systems is by graphing in slope-intercept form. So first of all, let me explain to you what a system even is. So let's just zoom in on number one. A system is just when you have more than one equation. And the solution to a system is, in this case, it's going to be an ordered pair that works for both of them. Okay, so um, when we solve by graphing, all we have to do is graph both lines, and the one point where they meet, where they intersect, that's going to be a point that works for both equations. So that would be my solution to the system. Okay, so this method is actually really easy because you guys already know how to graph these lines. So I just put up a post giving you some tips on how to write on the screen, so you don't have to print this out, because it is kind of hard to do this without at least graph paper. So if you're not printing these out, be sure to go back and look for my post about basically, if you have a way that works for you, then fine, that's awesome. But you can also take a screenshot with your phone and then draw on the photo, and then you can just save it as a new photo and then submit that to me. Okay, and don't forget you can zoom in, zoom out, so it makes it a little bit easier. Okay, so let's go ahead and do number one together. Okay, so all I'm going to do is I'm going to graph the first line. So I'm going to ignore the second line for a minute. So I'm just going to graph this one right here. And I'm sure you guys remember how to do that. It's just y equals mx plus b. So I start at b, which is 3 in this case. So I always start on the y-axis. And then I'm just going to follow that slope. In this case, the slope is a -1/2. So remember what that tells me to do from the point that I just made. I'm going to go down 1 to the right 2. So down 1 to the right 2, and I'm going to put another dot, down 1 to the right 2, I'm going to put another dot. And since we're doing this digitally, it's going to be really hard to kind of draw straight lines. So I like to make the dots all the way along. So if I go back to 3, if I go up 1 and to the left 2, there would be another point right there. And I'm going to do it again, just so I have all my dots sort of laid out that fit on the graph. Because hopefully when I graph the second one, it's probably going to overlap one of these dots. Okay, so let's try it. I'm going to switch colors. Oh, actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to draw a line. Ooh, and I think this has this, I'm still learning, but this has this line function. I forgot. Ooh, so if you have something like I have, where you can actually like pull up a line and it'll do a straight line for you, awesome. If you don't, just do it by hand. That's fine. Okay, now let's switch colors to graph. I'll do green. So now I'm going to, oops, I didn't mean to do that. I meant to put a rectangle around it. So we're going to graph this one in green. Let's see how that turns out. So y equals mx plus b. B is a -3 in this case, so I'll start way down here at -3. And then remember what it means if there's no number in front of that x. That means that there's really just a 1 there, so my slope is just 1. I'm going to go up 1 over 1. So I'll keep making these dots all the way through. And then ding, ding, ding. See that? They overlapped right there. So now I know my answer, but I'm going to go ahead and finish this graph because why not? Okay, so I can see on the graph where they intersect. It's at the point 4, 1. So your solution, you're actually not done yet. You need to write the answer as an ordered pair. So my answer to this would be the ordered pair. Make sure you're putting it in parentheses, 4, 1. Okay, see how that works? And what's so cool about this is if I take 4, 1 and I plug it into either equation, the top one or the bottom one, it's going to work. So real quick, if you ever want to check, I'll do, let's see, I'll do it in blue and I'll show you how to check these. So for the first one, if I plug in 4, 1, so that'd be, whoops, y is going to be 1. 1 is equal to negative 1/2 times x is 4 plus 3. So this should be a true statement. Let's see. Negative 1/2 times 4 is negative 2, and negative 2 plus 3, yep, that really is 1. 1 does equal 1, so that one works. Now I'm going to try it in this one. Just kind of go over here so I have some room. So again, I'm just going to plug in the 0.4 comma 1, and I should get another true statement. So 1 is equal to 4 minus 3. Well, yeah, that's true. Again, I get 1 equals 1. So that's pretty cool. That is the one and only point in the whole wide world that's going to work for both of these equations. There isn't another one. So you could try, if I took, for example, let's say I took 2, 2, this point. That would work in the red equation, but it's not going to work in the green equation because it's not on that green line. So the one and only one that works for both was this one right here, our answer 4-1. Okay, let's go ahead and try the second one. I have to erase all this. Bear with me. Okay, let's scroll over to the second one. And we're going to do the same thing. So, all right, let's go ahead and we'll do the top one in blue. Y equals negative 1/2 x minus 2. So we'll go ahead and start right at negative 2. And then follow that slope, negative 1/2. So down 1 to the right 2 again. Down 1 to the right 2. Okay, so then again, I know I'm off my page. I'm going to do the ones over on the left-hand side too, just so I can kind of have them all laid out. So I would go up 1, back 2, right? See how they all continue to fall in line? All right, so there's that. I'll connect these with my line tool. Perfect. And now let's go ahead and we'll switch back to green to do this equation. Okay, y equals negative 3x plus 3. So we'll start at 3 on the y-axis. And then that slope of negative 3. Remember, if it's not a fraction, you can always make it a fraction by putting it over 1. So that slope tells me to go down 3 to the right 1. So down 3 to the right 1 would put me right here. Down 3 to the right 1. Well, what do you know? I've overlapped one of those points, okay? And then my next point would be off the grid, so I can kind of estimate it there, but I don't even need it because I already have my answer. Drawing my line, and there it is. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and write my answer, and it is the ordered pair 2, comma, negative 3. So cool. So real quick, again, I'm going to just check and make sure that this point really does work in both. Let's see. So we'll switch to red now for our check. All right, so negative 3 equals negative 1/2 times x, which is 2, minus 2. I'm running out of room there. So let's see. Negative 3, negative 1/2 times 2 is negative 1. And negative 1 minus 2, yeah, really is negative 3. Cool, so it does work. And then let's go ahead and try this one. So negative 3 equal to negative 3 times 2 plus 3. All right, well, let's try it. Well, I'll be. Cool. So yeah, it works in both of them. I don't necessarily need you to check these every time. If it were a test or a quiz and you had some extra time, I would totally encourage you to do that. If you graph them both correctly and you feel like they're fine and it works out well, that's great. We are going to get to some systems that don't cross at nice points. So what happens when it crosses at like 2.7, comma 1.3? Well, unfortunately, graphs don't really help you out too much there, right? Even if I'm graphing with straight lines, it's going to be really hard for me to tell if they don't cross at exactly one of these lattice points. So that's why we need other ways to solve systems besides just graphing. So we're actually going to get into that probably next week. So all of your points this week should be nice. And then we'll get into the ones that are not nice later on. Okay, so let's go ahead and try the third one together. Just erase all this stuff. Okay. So third one, real quick, we're getting good at these now. Let's go to, I use green, top one, y equals x plus 2. So we'll start at 2, and then that's going to just have a slope of 1, so I'll just go up 1 over 1. And again, I'm going to keep doing it on the left-hand side just so they're all laid out, because you never know where the two lines are going to cross, right? It could cross anywhere. Okay, and then the bottom one, let's switch colors to blue. Y equals negative 4x minus 3. So I'm going to start at a negative 3. And then remember, my slope now is a negative 4. So I would go down 4 to the right 1. So down 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1. I'm already way off my grid. So remember what we can do instead. Instead of going down 4 to the right 1, I can go up 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and to the left 1. And you can see that when I do that, I do get that 1 point that overlaps right there. And then I'll just do it again, up 4, back 1. Oh, I forgot to, silly me, I forgot to graph my line for the green one. So let me graph the blue one right here while I have it. And I'll go back to green. There we go. So now you can see with this one why it was good to have those points on the left, right? Because these two lines did happen to intersect on the left-hand side. So if I didn't have those dots there, I'd have to go back and do it. Okay, so I have a nice ordered pair for these two. Looks like that one's going to be at the point -1, +1. Okay, so feel free to pop those in and check them if you want. And let's go ahead, and I'm going to do number 4 with you also, and then I'll have you guys do the ones on the back or the second page. Okay, do you remember how to do one like y equals 2? I hope you're thinking, oh my goodness, I know what to do. Did that pop into your head? I'm hoping. If it did, great. Okay, so I have y equals 2. So am I dealing with Hoy or am I dealing with bucks? So hopefully you said Hoy because I have y equals, right? So my last letter is a y, so that means I'm dealing with y equals. So what does that mean? That means that this will be a horizontal line because of that h, and then the O tells us that the slope is 0. I don't really need that right here. I just need to know that it's going to be a horizontal line at 2. So I'm going to go right to my line tool. I didn't do that very good. Hold on, I can do better. That's pretty good. So there's my horizontal line at 2. And let's go ahead and graph the bottom graph. We'll switch to blue for that one. Okay, so the bottom one, y equals x plus 1. So we'll start at +1, and then I'm going to go up 1 over 1. So right there, you can see my two graphs intersect. So it looks like that's going to be my solution point. Okay, so we'll get that line in there. Perfect. So now I can see that they are crossing. Actually, it is kind of a little bit hard to see. They're going to cross right there. Right at that point, 1, 2. Okay, so my answer to this one, 1, 2. And that's it, guys. Okay, so try the ones on the back, 5 through 10, I believe it is. You only have to submit a picture of 5 through 10. I don't need to see 1 through 4 since we did them together. Okay, hope this helps. See you guys later.